My dad came to the United States when he was 45. And the same night that we got to, on July 4th, we came in, it was Independence Day.
Yeah.
It was 2 a.m. Same morning, he walked the strip and knocked on every business asking for work because we were only sponsored for 1 month.
Wow.
After that, we were on
You're on your own, yeah.
So I can, strongly relate to that because my dad had 3 heart attacks. I almost lost him on December 31st of this year.
Really?
We were in Jamaica. He has a heart attack.
Jeez, how's he now?
Recovering, therapy.
Okay.
But I played the moment of him dying so many times.
Yeah.
That he's one of the most important people in my life. That I knew that if he dies and I didn't prepare myself for him dying, then something might happen to me
It would be catastrophic.
emotionally, mentally,
Right.
that I will not be able to handle it. So when that moment happened, it happened in a restaurant. So we're sitting, we're having dinner, we're doing surf and turf. He's ordering Tito's, excited, happy. All of a sudden, he's like, hey, can you help me go to the bathroom? Just feeling not good a little bit. I said, sure. I get him up, false. Heart attack. In the middle of the restaurant in Jamaica, it's hot. People are running towards. I had to push everybody away. Had to, give CPR, everything to bring him back. But the way I handled that is going back to what you said. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
Yeah.
I played that moment so many times, but I just have so much admiration for your father, for my dad, for any father who's left their life, culture, language, family to give their children a better future.
Dude, think about that for a minute, Albert. Think about that. We started this off by talking about staying a little paranoid, feeling like someone's going to take it away from you, and working like someone's going to take it away from you. And here you are telling me, like you've got such love and admiration and respect for your dad. You had to play that out in your head well before he's ever going to, hopefully he has a long, fruitful life.
Thank you.
But you had to play that out in your head because he means something to you. And if you don't play it out and you do what most people do, which is just avoid it, ignore the idea of it, because we all know our parents are going to die.
Yeah.
We all know, but we never think about it. And then when they do, if we love them and we respect them, we admire them, we end up spiraling.
Yeah.
It's not a fun thing to play it out in your head. It's not. But to play it out and to ask yourself, what does it feel like? How am I going to act? What am I going to do? How am I going to accept this? How am I going to move on? How am I going to move forward with my responsibilities? I had to do the same thing with my mom. My companies can't stop running. I can't stop leading 7 different companies because, hey, everybody slow down. Mom, stop. I didn't miss a single episode. You could ask Ed right here. I didn't miss a single episode of the BK show. I'll admit some of my episodes weren't the best. I'll admit I was in the bathroom, like stressed out, crying, and then I'd wipe all the tears away and I'd come here and I'd shoot an episode, but I didn't miss a single episode because I had played it out. And these are the things that we have to do. You have to play things out and ask yourself, how will I react or respond? How will things unfold? Because if you don't, if you are caught by surprise because you didn't do that, that role playing in your head, you're gonna be fucked.
Right, I agree 1000%. And I think no one taught me to do that, but discovering myself, having that one-on-one with me, and knowing my biggest fears, my biggest demons, I had to address them. I know you were, I believe, 38 when you addressed your biggest demon, and you just have no clue how much I admire you for doing that, because looking at you, tattoos, masculine, manly, alpha, you are such a great mentor and example for so many men out there. Right? But you being able to address that fear and talk about you being, 4 years old and being molested, to me was like, there's nothing I can't face. There's nothing I can't fight. If this man at 38, with everything he has going on for him, being able to go and publicly talk about being molested and taking ownership of that, you gave me power, you gave me strength to address any demon that I had to fight.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. It was not an easy thing to do, but when I had that big anxiety attack at the age of 38, and I thought about it, and I wanted to do everything I could to not go to a therapist. My doctor gave me medication, the anti-anxiety stuff, Xanax, and of course that didn't help because it just made me numb and dumb. So, but going to a therapist, like what grown man at the age of 38 wants to talk about something that happened to them at 4 years old? And so, I danced around the conversation with my therapist for months, but I realized the greatest gift that I gave myself and the people that I serve is healing from what happened to me as a kid, being molested. And the reason for that is I got to now talk about it on stage. I talk about it on social media. I talk about it on my podcast. And police officers, firefighters, Navy SEALs, Green Berets, big time entrepreneurs that you would recognize. One of them, he doesn't mind me sharing his name, Dean Graciosi.
Okay.
I spoke on stage and he was in the green room. He was going to speak to people after me. And I speak on stage and I talk about what happened to me. And I said, hey, the last thing I want to talk about here on stage is, because I always talk about leadership and making money and stuff. I said, but you've got to heal. If you've got trauma, physical, mental, emotional, sexual abuse like I had. You got to heal. And I kind of talked about that, and I told him what the process of healing looks like. And then I finished off my talk and went back in the green room, and I see Dean crying, and he stands up and he gives me a hug. I said, "Are you okay, man?" He goes, "Dude, you just told my story, and like I've never been able to talk about it, share about it. I'm gonna go talk to a therapist." And some of the greatest gifts we can give to humanity are to heal ourselves and then have the courage to talk about it openly, because you don't know whose lives you're going to touch. And you think about Dean and Tony Robbins, they're business partners. They coach millions of people, right? I've had the opportunity to, speak on their stages, etc. And now because of that conversation, Dean can go and impact more lives. And that's what we need to do, is we need to heal. Like, making money is fantastic. Having financial freedom is fantastic. Being a thought leader and being recognized in places is fantastic. But being able to help people heal their demons, fuck, you're doing God's work, man. Like, that's a gift from God. Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, at 38, you're having this anxiety attack, panic attack. You go see the therapist. Do you believe if you done it earlier, that would have helped you, or do you think that was the right moment, perfect timing?
Well, we always say it's the timing was what it was supposed to be. But I'm a very pragmatic person. I'm a strategic thinker, like most entrepreneurs are. Of course, had I done it at 28, a decade sooner, I would have removed more of the limiting beliefs I had, because I realized that experience, as I told Kevin, my therapist, created shame, confusion, rage. I had self-worth issues. So how can you build an empire, a business empire, if you have shame, confusion, rage, self-worth issues? And so I was always hitting a glass ceiling, right?
Yeah.
This glass ceiling.
Yeah.
And then I was limited, and then we always find a way to go back to our place of comfort. And so I feel like after that panic attack, and then going to the doctor, and then ultimately working with Kevin, my therapist, and then being able to heal from it, like, that glass ceiling was shattered. And so imagine had I had either a panic attack at 28 or had enough sense to go, okay, I think about this thing, I remember this thing every now and again that happened to me as a kid. I should probably go see someone about it. But I didn't have the balls to. And I thought, honestly, man, I even told Kevin, I said, I've dealt with that. I don't know why this is coming up. I don't even know why I'm crying right now, Kevin. And I'm like, snot's coming out here. And he goes, you haven't healed. He goes, you just disassociated. You separate that child from the man. Like, you have an inner child. Like, I don't want to get all like, psychological here, but we all have an inner child that we have to heal. That child doesn't go away. I look at my dad, he's 92 years old, and he sees my son and daughter. He just gets childlike with them. We all have that inner child still, and that child has had traumas, and that child's traumas need to heal. And if that little inner child's traumas heal, the man's traumas will begin to heal, and the glass ceiling will break, and opportunities will be abundant, and you won't do stupid things like men do, drink, cheat, pornography, any kind of avoidance or distractions through social media, whatever. And so, the plan, I guess God's plan, was for that to happen to me at 38. But I wish I had enough sense for it to have happened a decade sooner, because I would have had an even greater impact in my life.
At that point, only you know, or someone knows?
No one knew.
No one?
No one knew, bro.
So you have a wife at that time, you have children at that time?
Yep, my wife, my kids, no one knew.
Wow.
Yeah. In fact, when I came home and told my wife, after working with Kevin for like 6-7 months, I was like, hey, I got to tell you something. She was like, oh, that explains a lot. I go, what do you mean? She goes, every time I come from behind you to hug you, your wife wants to hug you from behind, right? Sometimes. And I remember this, like, I would pull her arms off and I turn around and I'd hug her this way.
Yeah.
And so I had a block against that. And so she took it as a rejection. Like, why are you rejecting me?
Sure.
Because I'm never going to tell her, hey, this is because I've been molested and I'm being triggered. And I didn't even know that was happening.
Wow.
In my head, I said, we bury it away. As men, we bury things away, and then we go, I fixed it. We didn't fix it. It's buried, and it's playing in the background, and it's gonna fuck you up when you least expect it.
That was my next question. Does it buried, but you don't pay attention to it? It doesn't come up, or it does come up, it does trigger, and then you're like, bury it again, and then you have to bury it again.
It's that.
And every time you do it, you waste so much bandwidth, so much energy.
Yes.
Wow.
You nailed it. Every time, and by the way, sometimes it comes up unconsciously and subconsciously. Meaning, obviously, when I tell the story, I was molested by 2 older boys. And so, if I have a male business partner and he starts being aggressive in wanting more equity, or, maybe we're taking the company, he wants to take it one direction, I want to take it another direction, I'd start getting triggered. I would start arguing with him over something. But I realize now, looking back, it's always in hindsight, you realize I was trying to protect that little boy, because every man felt like a threat to me. right? And so I bet, some of my male business partners in the past were probably like, why is he being so aggressive right now? Why is he being so defensive? Why is he showing up as a 10, like being in the red when he should just be showing up as a 7 or an 8, on that thermostat of anger? And it's because that was subconsciously showing up. I felt threatened, right? And so when you heal from it, you realize, no, you didn't do anything bad to me. He didn't do anything bad to me. We're business partners. We're like in a marriage together. You're like a brother to me. Maybe we have a conflict. Let's resolve it.
Sure.
But I no longer see you as a threat. So the old version of me was a bad business partner as well.